Come on, break it down like this. Oh, well, I had to check myself, baby.
What up, slammers out there on YouTube? It's HolyJoe Rock and Roll coming to you live and unscripted. This time I'm in Lublin, Poland, talking about the financial cliff. We're going to go over, people. Did you actually think they would solve this? Congress, these idiotic, lame brain, in office for life practically, losers who can't decide. Now, we know what the issues are, right? The Bush tax cuts, they were supposed to be for 10 years. They're supposed to be temporary, and they have expired. They already were renewed by Obama, and now we're up for another issue. Are we going to not renew the Bush tax cuts? Are we not going to renew some of the other quote-unquote stimulus things like the 2%, the elimination of the 2% withholding for people who are working for a living? That 2% goes to pay for Social Security. I don't think that we should stop collecting that because you're basically taking money away from Social Security fund. Anyhow, what I wanted to talk to you about is this. The Republicans have signed most of them have signed a no tax increase pledge, which means they cannot do anything until the tax rates automatically go up on the 1st of January or 2nd of January, whatever it is. At that point, they could vote on bills that will reduce taxes, and effectively they'll be able to say, hey, we voted for a tax cut. We didn't vote for any tax increases on anybody. The Democrats, emboldened by the victory of Obama, his re-election, are refusing to budge on this increase in taxing thing. The biggest problem is that both sides admit that the problem is not revenue, the problem is spending, yet no one is ever telling you what they're willing to cut. And that was the great thing about the candidacy of and the previous work of Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich, when he was Speaker of the House, and he says it, not very publicly, but he has said it on occasion, people asked him, how did he actually get to a balanced budget? And what he said was that he made every single person on every single committee come up with ways to cut costs. And they did it. And I believe that is the real reason why people hate Newt Gingrich. It's not because he had 3 wives. Hell, I had 3 wives. Ain't nothing but a thing. And I'm not Muslim and I ain't Mormon. You know what I'm saying? It had to do with how he busted balls and said, listen, we're going to cut spending. And he made it happen. He made it happen. And all this, other politics about Newt Gingrich as a candidate or as a public servant are just BS because he did a kick-ass job and you saw the results. Now, real quick, the Bush tax cuts. I don't understand why the Democrats have never used Bush 43's own words against him. When President George W. Bush announced or promoted the tax cuts, the so-called Bush tax cuts now, he said, what did he say? And I quote, "The country's running a surplus. It's your money. You deserve a refund." Applause, applause. End quote. Now, the facts on the ground have changed. There is no federal budget surplus. The tax cuts were supposed to be temporary. They were for 10 years. We've now had them for 12 years now? And they didn't actually do what they expected to do, stimulate the economy. They didn't work. And obviously, when you're talking about basically a more or less a 3% tax cut across the board from the Clinton era rates, people at the higher levels are going to get a bigger tax cut simply because 3% of a big number is bigger than 3% of a smaller number. So if you're earning more money, you're going to get more of a tax benefit from the Bush tax cuts. So, cutting by 3%, raising taxes on the top 2%ers by 3%, it's not going to break anybody's bank at the top 3%. Give me a break. I don't care what you say. And Schumer's an asshole for saying that people making $250,000 a year in New York are not rich. They're fucking rich. If you are making that kind of money, no one tells you to live in Manhattan. No one tells you to live anywhere in these expensive areas. You can move to Brooklyn. You can move to New Jersey. If you want to live in Jersey, what the fuck? You can move anywhere. You can move to Long Island. There's a lot of places that you can move, and you can afford to live a very comfortable life in New York or in the New York metro area on $250,000 a year. Give me a goddamn break, all right? That's a side issue, but that's a serious point. And any other place in the country, even in Silicon Valley, I live there, if you made over $100,000 in Silicon Valley, you were doing pretty damn good. So give me a break. I mean, I know there was a lot of poor people there. I have to say, I was really surprised at how many freaking poor people are in the Silicon Valley area. When I moved to Poland, I threw away a bunch of shit, and you should have seen the dumpster divers came out of like roaches, came out of everywhere, going through all my shit. One guy, he didn't even want to give me $5 for a used TV. He didn't even want to give me $5 for a used TV. It was a working TV. And he said, how much for a TV? I said, $5. He's like, can I have it for free? I said, give me $5, man. I don't want to pay anything for it. So, I mean, I paid $10 for it at a yard sale a year earlier. So I was, I wasn't going to take it to Poland. I guess dumped it. But anyhow, excuse my rambling. But what I'm saying is, it's pretty sad that the politicians couldn't just say, look, we're going to vote for a continuation of the Bush tax cuts for everybody except for the top 2%, and agree on some spending cuts, some additional real spending cuts. Now, nobody wants to politically stick their neck out and say what they want to cut. Therefore, the only way to do it at this point, and without the leadership of a guy like Newt Gingrich, is to slash all budgets across the board. I say 10%. I say we start with a 10% across the board slashing of the budgets. That would save $400 billion a year, approximately, off the federal budget. And at that point, the majority leaders of the House and Senate need to go in all of their groups and start finding other stuff to cut. Because there's a lot of waste. We know there's a lot of waste. Come on. There's so much waste at the federal level, even trickling down to the states. There's so much waste and abuse and fraud in the federal and even state governments. We all have seen it. You all know what it is. Got to blow the whistle on these mothers because it's really a terrible situation. It's our money being wasted. And there is no reason that you can't cut defense a little bit more. Come on. $375 million for one fighter aircraft. I don't care how advanced it is. Maybe we don't need it. Maybe we don't really need it. Come on. Why can't you buy an F-15, F-16? Just make some new ones. Make some new F-15s, some new F-16s, some new Harrier jets. Why not? Yeah, I got you there, right? Well, we're going to go over to Clift. Brace yourselves. I don't think there's going to be a lot of impact. Sure, there's going to be some slowdown, and maybe at your dollar store, maybe there'll be more cashiers available because less people have money to buy crap there. And maybe Walmart, maybe people will stop buying that Chinese plastic shit that's being imported from China, and they'll start thinking seriously what they want to do with their money. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay sweet, and this is HolyJoe Rock and Roll wishing you a Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.
Oh, well, I had to check myself, baby, 'cause I was too close to the edge.